So once we are sorted with rights and duties of bailor, we are hardly left with much on the table, because we have covered majority of the points over here. Now let us begin with question number 2. Examine whether the following constitute a contract of bailment on the provisions of the Indian Contract Act 1872. V parks his car at a parking lot, locks it and keeps the keys. अगर आपको याद आया हो तो Kali Perumal versus Vishalakshi was the case that I discussed, wherein the person takes the keys back. So if you keep the keys, there is no delivery. There is no delivery. And once there is no delivery, automatically there is no contract of bailment. So is there a contract of bailment? The answer is a big no, right? So this does not constitute the contract of bailment because there is no delivery of keys. So once the keys are delivered, then only there is transfer of possession. So the bailee has to be in possession of the goods, जो यहाँ नहीं है part 1 में. Seizure of goods by custom authorities. If you remember, I discussed pretty similar case of Baswa KD Patil versus State of Mysore, wherein the police had taken the robbed goods, but they lost it from their custody. Over here, it is nothing but the seizure of goods is nothing but the implied contract of bailment. So custom authority ने goods ले लिया, now the goods are in the possession of the custom authority, hence it's an implied contract of bailment. So yes, it is bailment. It does constitute a contract of bailment. Sorted. Question number 2. Question number 3. A, the bailor pledges a cinema projector. Oh, this is my favorite one. Now this is a wonderful case to be discussed. A, the bailor pledges the cinema projector and other accessories with Cine Association Cooperative Bank. So bank becomes the bailee as of now, the bailee for a loan. See, pledge is a special kind of bailment. Let me tell you that. Is a special type of bailment contract, right? Right? It's a contract of bailment for performance of promise or payment of a loan, right? So here pledge यानी आपने गोल्ड चेन दिया, लोन ले लिया, क्या हो गया भाई? प्लेज हो गया, right? He requests the bank to allow the pledge goods to remain in his possession. ये देखो भाई, to remain in his possession. Now the twist comes, and promises to hold the same interest for the bailee, and also further promises to hand over the possession of the same to the bank whenever demanded. Examining the provisions of the Indian Contract Act, decide whether there is a valid contract of pledge. So same pledge also requires the applicability of the same provisions of bailment and the rules of bailment. That is, there has to be transfer of possession. Prima facie looks like no, लेकिन answer कुछ और भी हो सकता है. Let us try and understand once more. This will take a little time. So there is one Mr. A who gives all his machinery such as camera, jeep cranes, other things which are required for the purpose of shooting to a bank, right, and take a loan. Later on he says he wants the goods to be given back to him so he can do the work using such goods, and he will hold such goods in the form of a trust, right, and hand over the possession of the same to the bank whenever demanded. Now this is a little confusing one, right? So we have to examine with the respective provision whether it's a valid pledge. So over here I would like to just do a little bit of computation for you, right? So we have one Mr. Gautam, not a lot of budget. He goes to the bank, right? Forget that case. He goes to the bank, pledge all the cinema equipments, cine equipments. He pledges the cine equipments, gets a loan, right? He gets a loan in place. Now the bank is not a place where you keep cinema equipments, right? You don't keep green screens, the jib cranes, right? The trolleys, the camera. You don't keep it in bank. Have you seen ever? If you go to a bank, you find all these equipments lying in one room. Obviously not. So the bank gave it to one guy who keeps the custody of all these things, on Mr. Sir. So he keeps all these equipments with him in his warehouse. So this is kind of a warehouse guy, right? So Mr. G takes a loan, gives the equipment. The bank keeps the equipment with Mr. Sir, the warehouse guy. And whenever the bank wants it, Sir will give the equipments back to the bank on demand, right? So over here, is there a transfer of possession? If I ask you this question, answer me if there is transfer of possession in favor of bank. Is the transfer of possession in favor of bank? The answer is yes, because Mr. Gautam gave the goods to bank gave the loan, and now it is technically under the possession of the bank. Now just imagine this, the way they have constructed the case, it's so wonderful. Mr. Sir moves out and Mr. Gautam comes into picture, right? So Gautam is technically in double role. So role number one, he is a bailer. A special bailer is also termed as a pledger, right? And when the bank takes it, he keeps the goods are kept with again the same guy, but in capacity number 2, right? The bank becomes the bailee, obviously. That special bailee is termed as pledgee, right? So who is Gautam over here in capacity 2? The warehouse guy, the person who is keeping the equipment in his custody. So here merely Mr. Gautam in capacity 2 is the custodian of certain goods that the bank has. So technically over here, if you see the case very carefully, this particular case, I'm not talking about the other one. So over here, the possession is still with the bank. The possession is with the bank still, right? Because this guy is going to work as a custodian, and at the beck and call of the bank, he has to return the goods back to the bank, right? आरी बात समझ. So वैसे इन लोगों ने केस बनाया था. So becomes really confusing. So the person who is giving the goods is also the custodian of the goods. But when it comes to when he again receives the goods in capacity number 2, he becomes merely a custodian and the possession doesn't come to him, though the word possession has been used in order to confuse you. If you read the case a little carefully, A, the bailer pledges the cinema projector and other accessories with the Cine Association Cooperative Bank Limited, the bailee, for a loan. A requests, so who is A? The pledger. A requests the bank to allow the pledged goods to remain in his possession and promises to hold the same in trust. So in the capacity of a trustee, a mere custodian for the bailee, and also further promises to hand over the possession So means technically the possession is with the bank because the goods are available at bank's beck and call in capacity number 2 of Mr. A. The wonderful case, right? So hand over the possession of the same to the bank whenever demanded by the bank. Examining the provisions, yes, it is a clear-cut case of pledge. The answer is yes. It is pledge, a valid pledge, right? So this is some really interesting case. If you can deconstruct it, then only you are able to score marks in this question. Now, hope that's very clearly sorted. That is how you need to decompose cases over here. Now, A hires a carriage of B and agrees to pay 500 as hire charges, right? So this one, I would like to just, before I close this, I just recollected one case with respect to question number 3. Let me just write it down. It's a long name. Bank of Chittoor versus Narsimulu. Just a second. Narsimha. Narsimulu, right? Hope I got the spelling right. Narsimulu, correct. So Bank of Chittoor versus Narsimulu was the leading case. Very similar case of the cinema projector thing that you've seen above. Now rushing to question number 4. A hires a carriage of B and agrees to pay 500. So that is non-gratuitous payment. A hires, ये कौन है? Bailor, right? B agrees, carriage of B, right? आशीष जी क्वेश्चन नंबर 4 फिर से कीजिएगा, right? A hires a carriage of B, so B is the bailor, right? A is the bailee, right? Agrees to pay 500 as higher charges. The carriage is unsafe, though B is unaware of it, right? B, the bailor, is unaware of it, is injured and claims compensation for injuries suffered by him. B refuses to pay. Discuss the liability of B. अभी हमने डिस्कस किया था, ये है सेक्शन 150 पैरा 2. In case of non-gratuitous bailment, the liability of the bailor is higher, whether the fault is known to him or not known to him. He is liable to compensate. ये हमारे हमने किस में किया था? डिस्क्लोजर ऑफ फॉल्ट्स में किया था, right? So he is liable to pay. Question number 5. A bails his jewelry with B on the condition to safeguard in bank's safe locker. However, B kept in safe locker at his residence होगा, where he usually keeps his own jewelry. After a month, all jewelry was lost in religious riot. A filed a suit against B for recovery, referring to the provisions. State whether A will succeed. Now this is wonderful case again. A bails his jewelry with B. So if we identify A is the bailor, B is the bailee, on the condition to safeguard in bank's safe, not at his house. However, B kept in safe locker at his residence, where he usually keeps his own jewelry. Right? So did Mr. B acted as a person of ordinary prudence? Yes. But let me tell you one thing very, very clearly. What does section 152 have to say about all this? Section 152, right? the Bailey needs to act as per the instructions of Baylor, right? So over here, after a month, all the jewelry was lost in religious riot. Religious riot, is it unavoidable incident? The answer is yes. लेकिन उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? The thing is that the Bailey needs to act as per the instructions of the Baylor, my dear friends. Did Bailey, Mr. B, act as per the instructions? The answer is a big no, right? He did not act as per the instructions, right? Not followed instructions. महापाप हो गया, not followed instructions, right? If you do not follow the instructions, you cannot take refuge under doctrine of supervening impossibility and other stuff. मैंने बात की थी 3 ways the goods can be destroyed. One is act of God, second is enemies of state, and the third one is unavoidable incidents. If we remember section 160 Shaw versus Simmons, that is where we discussed this part, right, in a different light altogether. उसको इसको mix नहीं करने का है, लेकिन वहां मैंने आपको डिस्कस किया था these are the 3 ways the goods can get destroyed, right? And technically the Bailey would not be liable, but over here, if you notice, Mr. B would say it is unavoidable. Great, it is unavoidable, we understand, but did you follow the instructions? I asked you to put it in a bank safe, a bank locker, and not keep it at your house. No matter whether you have acted as a person of ordinary prudence, you kept it with your own jewelry, great. Your jewelry lost, my jewelry lost, but you have to pay for my jewelry. Reason is because the Bailey failed to act as per the instructions of the Baylor. So the answer over here, the final answer, the word on the wall is B is liable to pay. B is liable, right? That's the final answer. So इसको highlight कर देते हैं अच्छे से. B is liable to pay, right? So this is a very nice section. The entire case looks like B can get away scot-free because of unavoidable incidents, but he cannot. He is liable for not following the instructions. He is being made liable in this case. Wonderful. Now, coming to question number 6. Sunil delivered his car to Mahesh for repairs. Sunil delivered his car. So Sunil is who? Baylor. Right? To whom? Mahesh. Mahesh would become who? The Bailey. Right? For repairs. Mahesh completed the work but did not return the car to Sunil within reasonable time. Though Sunil repeatedly reminded Mahesh for the return of the car, in the meantime, a big fire occurred in the neighborhood and the car was destroyed. Decide whether Mahesh can be held liable. क्या पूछ रहे हैं? Is Mahesh liable? Answer is सीधा yes, because section 160 talks about that the Bailey needs to return the goods, and if he fails to do that, the Baylor can take necessary action and claim damages. Over here, the Bailey did not return the goods on completion of the purpose or on completion of time, right? Whichever is early, he has to do that. So meantime, delay ho gaya. Once delay has occurred, game over, right? 161 comes into picture. The Bailey needs to return the goods on time. वो पहली बात है 160 के हिसाब से. If he fails to do so, then the Baylor can take necessary action against the Bailey. Shaw and Company versus Simmons, the leading case जो हमने पढ़ा था. मैं लिख देता हूँ, Shaw versus Simmons. Right? So keep this in mind. So is Mahesh liable? Answer बड़ा सीधा है. Yes, Mahesh is liable, right? So when we did the rights and duties, it just helps us so much to comprehend the rest of the chapter and the questions. Now coming to question number 7, looks like very simple one. M lends a sum of rupees 5,000 to B on security of 2 shares. M lends a sum, right, to B. So B has given the shares, so B becomes who? The बेलर. यहाँ लोन के वास्ते है तो हम इसको क्या बोल सकते हैं? प्लेजर. राइट. एम इज हु? बेली और प्लेजी. राइट. Of 2 shares of a limited company on 1st April 2007. On 15 June 2007, the company issued 2 bonus shares. B returns the loan amount of 5,000 with interest. M returns only 2 shares. The Bailey has withheld the other 2 bonus shares. याद करो वो डोंकी वाला केस, मोतीलाल हलीबाई वर्सेस बाय मनी, वो सेकंड केस जो भी हमने डिस्कस किया था डोंकी के बाद, जहां शेयर्स इन्वॉल्व थे. वी ट्राई टू रिकलेक्ट दैट केस. Over here, the Bailey, can he keep the 2 bonus shares? The answer is no. Clear-cut applicability of section 163, if you remember, natural accretion. Right? So B returns, loan हो गया. Advise B in the light of the provisions. So B returns the loan amount. M returns only 2 shares. Advise B. B को क्या advise? भाई ले लो shares, कोई tension नहीं. So he can file a suit under section 163. B will receive the bonus shares as well. Right? Sorted. Khatam. Question number 7 over. R gives his umbrella to M during rainy season to be used for 2 days. तो R कौन है भाई? पहले आइडेंटिफाई कर लो हमेशा. Is the baler. Right. For 2 days during examination, and M keeps the umbrella for a week. भाई क्यों ऐसा किया? Bailey. And while going to R's house to return the umbrella, M accidentally slips. Unavoidable incident. बहुत बारिश हो गई होगी शायद. I feel very sorry for the poor chap. Slips and the umbrella is badly damaged. Who will bear the loss and why? Over here, it's applicability of section 160. Bailey needs to deliver goods on time. हो गया खेल खत्म. Right. So he took it for how much period? He took it for how much period? He took it for a period of 2 days and returns it when? After 7 days. Right? So God help him, he cannot. यहाँ देखो 2 days लिखा हुआ है. Keeps the umbrella for a week. Right? So over here, उसके बाद even if it is once 160 says once the time is up for the purpose for which the bailment contract was entered into, the time period is up, then the Bailey, even if the goods in the Bailey's custody gets destroyed due to act of God, unavoidable incidents or enemies of state, nothing can be done. The Bailey is liable. So the Bailey needs to deliver the goods on time. वो सीधी बात है. Who will bear the loss in this case? The Bailey. Mr. M will bear the loss. Mr. M will bear the loss. Why? Section 160 के हिसाब से. Right? So that is also sorted. Pretty sorted. Very, very easy. Now, तो 160, 161 भी यहाँ कोट कर सकते हो, wherein the Bailor will use the section to his advantage in order to file a suit and claim damages. So section 160, 161. Now coming to question number 9. Question number 9. what do you mean by pledge and what is pawner's right to redeem, right? Who is the pawner? पॉनर को हम लोग प्लेजर भी बोलते हैं और बेलर भी बोल सकते हैं इन द स्पेशल केस, राइट? So what do you mean by pledge and what is pawner's right to redeem? So we'll write just a note on this one. I want you to write a note on pledge, right? Pledge is nothing but a bailment of goods. प्लेज में भी गुड्स आता है, मूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी, एज अ सिक्योरिटी फॉर पेमेंट ऑफ debt or performance of promise. आपको खाली पेमेंट ऑफ डेट वाले केस देखने मिलेंगे भर भर के, जैसे सर गिव टू मिस्टर राहुल, राइट, certain piece of jewelry, a gold chain, and received a loan amount of rupees 50,000 on such gold chain. ये क्या हो गया? प्लेज हो गया, राइट? हु इज द सर? हु इज सर? सर को हम लोग डीलर बोलते हैं, लेकिन ये प्लेज का केस है तो हम लोग सर को क्या बोलेंगे? प्लेजर. और व्हाट वुड वी कॉल सर इफ नॉट अ प्लेजर? कॉल हिम अ पॉनर, राइट? और मिस्टर राहुल कौन बन जाएंगे हमारे? विल बिकम अ प्लेजी और पॉनी, right? So this is a simple explanation of the term pledge, right? So एक बार फिर से रिपीट कर देता हूँ. Pledge is nothing but it's a bailment contract, right, of goods, again movable property, but this time it is for the purpose of security for payment. So you are giving something in lien for payment, कि आप पेमेंट करोगे, प्रॉमिस के लिए सिक्योरिटी दिया है आपने, for the payment of debt or the performance of promise, right? Majority of the time payment of debt वाला ही केस आएगा. majority क्या? 100% payment of debt वाला केस आएगा आपको, right? So this is what do we mean by pledge, right? And the definition of pledge, section 172, right? It is covered under 172. और एक बात पूछी थी हमको क्वेश्चन में, वो क्या है? You see the question say what do you mean by the pawner's right to redeem? So यहाँ लिखते हैं pawner's right to redeem, but before that we'll write also the section number for pawner's right to redeem. Section 177, pawner's right to redeem, right? Pawner's right to redeem. अब ये थोड़ा लंबा चलेगा, थोड़ा हमको समझना पड़ेगा कि भाई सेक्शन 177 कहना क्या चाहता है. नाउ सी, ऊपर का अगर हम लोग केस यहाँ फिर से रिपीट कर दें, सर हैज गिवन अ गोल्ड चेन टू राहुल, राइट? सो गोल्ड चेन and sir has received a loan amount of rupees 50,000 under the pledge contract, right? ये सब सेट हो गया, कोई टेंशन नहीं. Now sir is the pledger or the pawner, right? Pawnee हो गए राहुल, right? Now over here, once I pay the money, once the pledger pays the money, on payment of the paid amount and interest, the pledger can receive the goods back. हाँ ना, सीधी सी बात है, right? Once I've paid the money, Rahul has to give the gold chain to me back. The thing is that at times the pledger may fail to make payment on time. What happens in this case if the pledger fails to make the payment on time, right? What happens if the pledger fails to make the payment on time? The pledgee can send a notice of sale Yani the pledgee says, I'll sell the goods that I have belonging to the pledger, can send a notice of sale and has to provide reasonable time to the pledger for reply, right? So you can't sell it right away, right? ठीक है, वो possible नहीं है. आप प्लेजर को एक लेटर लिखो, यू राइट अ लेटर स्ट्रेट टू द प्लेजर दैट यू हैव नॉट पेड द मनी, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम विलिंग टू सेल द गुड्स. तो उसको हम लोग बोलते हैं नोटिस ऑफ सेल बोलते हैं भाई उसको, राइट? उसके पहले आप नहीं कर सकते हो, राइट? सो once the pledgee gives the notice of sale, so Rahul over here, if sir is not paid, has to give notice of sale, his intention of selling the goods to the pledger and provide reasonable time for the pledger to reply, right? ठीक है. Now before the actual sale and after the default, सब बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है भाई. Before the actual sale, yani before actually pledgee sells it to somebody, some third party, and after the default, right? So if you have not paid, भावेश sir, let us say 3 months का लोन था, भावेश sir ने नहीं पेमेंट किया, so after 3 months भावेश sir fails to pay the money after that date, and he sends a notice, his intention to sell the goods to a third party in order to recover his money. So once he sends notice, he'll await for our reply and then go ahead and sell, right? So over here, that period, so before the actual sale and after the default, during that period where the goods are still with the pledgee, लिख देते हैं ब्रैकेट में, when the goods are still with the pledgee, right? The pledger, during this period, right, the pledger can make the payment and redeem the goods. ये है right to redeem भाई. So Bhavesh sir has to pay 50,000. Let us take my case for instance. I have to pay 50,000 plus interest and other incidental charges in order to redeem the goods, right? So this is termed as pledger's right to redeem. ठीक है? Doesn't sound as simple as in the first instance. It looks pretty simple, but this is how it works. So we'll just rush through 177. See, Bhavesh sir has given a gold chain to Rahul. Rahul gave him 50,000 and he is charging certain interest, right? See, on the payment of a said amount, the pledger can receive the goods back, but that is when you do it on due date. At times the pledger, so our entire story begins over here. At times the pledger may fail to make the payment, right, on time or on the due date. The pledger can send a notice, the pledgee can send a notice of sale that he is intending to sell the goods because you have not paid on time, and he has to provide you with reasonable time for reply. So before the actual sale, yeah, after the default date and before the actual sale, that time period when the goods are still in the possession of the pledgee, the pledger can make, let us say after 3 months, Rahul sends a notice to sir that he is intending to sell my goods in order to recover the amount. So, but he has not yet sold it. So, meanwhile, after 3 months, that is after default, and before he actually makes sale, I can go approach Rahul, make all the payments, and redeem the goods. That is termed as the pawner's right to redeem, as per section 177. At that time, the pledgee cannot deny. The pledgee cannot say, no, I'll sell the goods and तभी मुझे शांति मिलेगी, मेरे आत्मा को शांति तभी मिलेगी. नहीं 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 नहीं. You have to give the goods back to the pledger, right, in that scenario. So he can invoke section 177 for his benefit, right? So here we are done with question number 9. Hope it's understood nice and clear. Question number 9 over. Coming to question number 10. Oh my god, this 1, 2 or 3. Now, if we do any of the cases, they are pretty similar, and this is again a very, very important question. I would put it as a 5-star question. See the repetition over here, and it has come even more number of times than I've shown over here, right? Ravi sent a consignment of goods worth 60,000 by railway, got a railway receipt. He obtained an advance of 30,000 from the bank and endorsed and delivered the railway receipt in favor of the bank by way of security. The railway failed to deliver the goods at the destination. The bank filed a suit against railway for 60,000. Decide in light of provisions of the Indian Contract Act. The other cases are pretty similar, nothing to worry. So Ravi sent a consignment. अब इसमें थोड़ा ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा. Of goods worth 60,000 by railways, right? So there is one contract of bailment that is very much visible between Ravi and railways. He obtains an advance of 30,000 from the bank and endorsed and delivered the railway receipt. So technically over here, when you give the railway receipt and endorse the railway receipt, so what kind of delivery of goods you have done in favor of bank? You have technically delivered the goods to bank. इसको हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं legal language में? Constructive. Just write it over here. Constructive delivery. Right. So here we have a case of constructive delivery. Right. right? By whom? Ravi to the bank. In favor of the bank by way of security, the railway failed to deliver the goods at the destination. The bank filed a suit against railway for 60,000. पूरे का पूरा amount का. Actually, if you see, bank has given an advance of only 30,000, but they filed a suit for how much? Full 60,000, right? Decide in the light of provisions of the Indian Contract Act whether the bank would succeed in the said suit. Now, I have a case in mind. It's a very famous case, Morvi Mercantile Bank versus Union of India Railways. ठीक है, सो ये एक pretty famous case है. अगर आप समझने की ट्राई करें, what are the provisions that ये सब similar cases, so I'll just write it over here somewhere. This relates to part number 1. 2-3 things that we need to consider over here. Section 178, 180 and 181. Mainly it belongs to 180 and 181. So I would like to put over here that this is a joint right. Section 180. So it is the right of the bailer as well as the bailee, right? So what does section 180 say? Section 180 very clearly states that if any third person, first of all, third person is person apart from the bailer and the bailee. So if there is any third person who is interfering with the rights of the bailer or the bailee, he has the right to demand the return of goods. That is 180, right? So it's a joint right of the bailer as well as the bailee. ठीक है? So God, right to demand return of goods. So technically फाइनल बेलर बेली कौन है? रवि हमारे केस में, और है रेलवेज. If you check it, Ravi the bailer and railways the bailee. What does section 181 say? This is the most interesting part. So 181. First of all, you can you have right to demand the return of goods from the third person, right? And more than that, if there is any injury caused, 180 में और एक बात बताई गई है, if there is any injury you can also bring a suit on the third person. 181 क्या बोलता है? That whatever is received from such third person needs to be shared by whom? The bailer and the bailee. Shared in proportion of their interests. But this is a joint right. This is something that we didn't discuss because it's a common right. So right to demand return of the goods from whom? From the third person. So if any third person has devoid the bailee the right of the goods, the bailee has a right to demand the return of goods, and in case of any injury or loss caused or damage caused to the goods, he can file a suit. The bailee as well as the bailer can file a suit on the third person, right? So मैं आपको यहाँ एक सिंपल सा एग्जांपल दे देता हूँ. लेट अस से, बाद में रेलवेज पे जाते हैं. सर डिलीवर्ड हिज बाइक टू राहुल गैरेज, right? From Rahul's garage one guy, Mr. Gautam, snatched the bike, ran away, caused certain damage to the bike. So can Sir file a suit? The answer is yes, the bailier can file a suit. Can Rahul file a suit on Gautam? Yes, Rahul also can file a suit on Gautam. Any one of them can file a suit, demand return of goods, or can claim damages for the loss caused to the goods. So मानो कि राहुल ने 10,000 rupees लिए किससे? गौतम से, right? Now Rahul's repair charges are 1,500 rupees because he is that repair mechanic guy. So rest 8,500 will go to Sir. वो बोलता है section 181. So if you have understood this, very simple. So if there is any third person who is denying the goods to the bailee, the bailier or the bailee can file a suit and can claim damages if there is any kind of detriment caused to such goods. They can return the demand return for goods as well as claim damages on the goods, the detriment caused to the goods. And second is, whatever they have received, the bailier or the bailee, whosoever has received, they will share in the proportion of their interest. So यहाँ अगर आप मेरा एग्जाम्पल देखो, जो मैंने बताया था, राहुल जी मैकेनिक को कितना मिलेगा? 1,500, जो हमारा बात हुआ था. आई गिव द बाइक फॉर रिपेयर्स, तो राहुल जी का 1,500 बन रहा था. एंड the other damage caused to the goods and the amount taken from Mr. Gautam. Rahul ने file किया था suit. Rahul went ahead. Gautam cannot say you are not the owner of the bike. कुछ नहीं भाई, bailey है. So he can file a suit and claim the entire amount. Keep his part, that is 1,500 in this case. The rest of 10,000 is 8,500. Rest amount out of 10,000, that is 8,500, is to be given back to the bailier. So section 180, 181 is the most important. Now Ravi sent a consignment of goods of 60,000 by railway and got a receipt. He obtains an advance of 30,000 from bank, and so bank's interest is how much? Worth 30,000 in the goods, right? And endorse the and delivered the railway receipt in favor of the bank. तो constructive delivery का केस हो गया था, right? In favor of bank, the railway failed to deliver the goods. So if the third party, who is that third party over here? Railway is the third party. बहुत सही केस है ये, right? So railway is the third party. So if the third party denies the bailier or the bailee of the goods, then either the bailier or the bailee can file a suit on such third party to recover the goods or claim damages for injury caused to such goods, right? The bank filed a suit against the railway for 60,000 full amount. Can the bank do it? The answer is very much yes, the bank can do it. The bailier or the bailee can file a suit for the full amount. Decide light of provisions of the Indian Contract Act. तो यहाँ railways, just a second, तो यहाँ हमारा आंसर आएगा railway will pay 60,000 to whom? To bank. Now bank will keep 30 and pay the rest 30,000 to whom? Ravi. Ravi will get how much? 30,000. हो गया ये समाप्त, right? So this is a nice 5-marker question. See, X sent the goods sent on consignment mobile phone worth 60,000 to Y and obtained a railway receipt there. Therefore thereof होना चाहिए. Later he borrowed a loan of 40,000 from Star Bank and endorsed the railway receipt in favor of the bank as security in transit. The consignment of mobile phones was lost, so third party lost it. Who? The railways. The bank files a suit against the railway for claim of 60,000. Can the bank claim 60,000? The answer is yes, the value of the entire consignment. The railway contended that the bank is entitled to recover only an amount of 40,000. नहीं, the bailier or the bailee can file for a full amount, right? As per section 180 यहाँ दिया हुआ है, समझाया भी अभी मैंने, right? Once the amount is received, बाद में वो लोग अपने अपने divide कर लेंगे. They will divide the amount as proportionately as per their interest. Examining the provisions of the Indian Contract Act, decide whether contention of the railway is valid. Contention of railway is not valid. Contention of railway is not valid. Contention of railway is not valid, right? ठीक है. So railways can claim the entire 60,000. 40,000 they'll keep and give 20,000 rest to किसको देंगे, बिकॉज लोन कितना लिया था, 40,000 लिया था x ने, so 20,000 will go back to x. X sent a consignment of goods worth 2,90,000 by railway and got a railway receipt for the same. He has obtained an advance of 2,60,000 from the bank and doesn't deliver the railway receipt in favor of the bank by way of security for advance. The railway failed to deliver the goods at the destination. The bank filed a suit against the railway for 290, decided light of provisions. So can the bank file a suit for 290 entire amount? The answer is yes. So out of which they will keep 260 and pass on the rest 30,000 to X. So all the three cases on same lines. Worthy. This is a very worthy question coming in exam for a good 4 to 5 marks, easily 4 to 5 marks, and you have to keep a keen eye on this one. बहुत ही simple case है, आपको ये sections quote कर देने हैं, right? 180 181 पे mainly based है ये, and this Morbi Mercantile Bank versus Union of India. Have I given that? Yes. So here we go. Very important. Three times repetitions I've shown over here. It is much more than 3 times, guys. So please keep a keen eye on this kind of a case study. Now going to question number 11. Choose the correct answer from following. The delivery of goods by one person to another for some specific purpose and time is known as, ये तो है भाई super easy question, bailment, right? अब क्या पूछा है, state the essential elements of contract of bailment, distinguish between contract of bailment and contract of pledge. Not a big deal, very manageable, right? So we'll just put a quick ruler over here. Now, so the first part of the question says state the essential elements of contract of bailment. I've already done it, but let me rush through it very quickly. Section 148 of the Indian Contract Act. So it talks about bailment is nothing but delivery of goods by one person to the other upon a contract that the goods would be delivered back or disposed of according to the instructions of the person delivering it. So now elements, essential elements. One is delivery of goods. Delivery of goods. Right. 2. It's a contract. It can be an express contract or an implied contract. 3. The return of specific goods. So if I give you a Mercedes for repair and you give me a Maruti back, भाई danger हो जाएगा तब. Return of specific goods, right? Transfer of possession है यहाँ. Possession should be in favor of the bailee. Pali Perumal versus Vishalakshi case. The keys were not handed over to the jeweler, right? और 5वीं बात क्या है, goods यानी movable property only comes under this. Right. So we have discussed certain 5 very quickly, recapped rather what discussed. We had done it long back. So we have recapped our I was just waiting for the skill to pop up. Now we'll distinguish between the contract of bailment and contract of pledge. Not much of a space, but we'll deal with it, nothing to worry. So we have bailment on one hand. The second part of the question. See, there are three main differences apart from the definition. At the beginning introduction में आपको definition देना है, right? तीन main differences है because pledge is a special kind of bailment, so the lot of similarities, right? So first thing that I would like to start is purpose of bailment can be anything. Delivery of goods, safe custody of goods, anything technically, repairs, right? But pledge, the idea is very clear, for purpose of securing a debt or performance of promise, right? So it can be for the purpose of securing a debt or performance of promise, जो हमने भी देखा था. So first difference is the purpose for which it is created. Bailment can be having a very large bandwidth, right? Whereas it is not the same case with pledge. Second thing that we can notice is the bailee cannot sell the goods. Bailee cannot sell the goods, whereas the pledgee can sell the goods. Zoom it if it's possible. Can sell the goods, but he has to give notice and reasonable time after notice, all that, right? And the third major difference, what I can recollect, is the use of the goods. See, in bailment, bailee can use the goods as per the terms of the contract, right? So if I've taken a car on hire, a self-drive car, so I can very much, I have to use the car, that's the purpose, right? But the pledgee cannot use the goods, right? So over here, the car case, if I've taken the car for the purpose of my driving on hire, I have to use the car because that's the very purpose for which the bailment has been created, right? The person giving the car is the bailer, and the bailee, I can use it. The pledgee, so if I have given a gold chain to Mr. Rahul, he cannot wear and flaunt it, right? Though he is the pledgee, he is not supposed to use the goods. So there are three main things. One is the very purpose. Bailment can have wide variety, but the purpose of pledge is for the securing a debt or performance of promise. Bailee cannot sell the goods. Yes, he can file a suit in order to claim money, as the case may be, but the pledgee can sell the goods after giving a notice and reasonable time for reply to the pledger for the notice. And the last one is bailee can, as per the terms of the contract, use the goods, but the pledgee cannot use the goods. It is very clearly stated. So these are the three major differences that we find between the contract of bailment and contract of pledge that you need to write. Now, coming to the question number 13, state whether the following statements are correct or incorrect. There is one statement which I can notice. Bailee has no right to mix the goods bailed with his own goods without the consent. This is super simple. This is absolutely right. The statement is correct. The statement is correct. Mixing up of the goods is given in section 155. Can mix with consent of the baler, right? ठीक है. फिर 156 में क्या दिया है? If the goods are mixed and not, sorry, if the goods are mixed without the consent and they are separable. रिविजन कर लेते हैं जल्दी से. Separable, cost of separation to be borne by the bailee. 157, what does it say? Not separable. Goods are not separable, then the entire cost of the goods is to be borne by the bailee. So with this we come to an end of the contract of bailment and pledge. Yes, so that concludes our contract of bailment and pledge. And now यहाँ 13 मेरे ख्याल से एकदम समझ में आ गया है, कोई कष्ट वाली बात नहीं है इधर, राइट? सो कैन मिक्स गुड्स विद कंसेंट बट विदाउट द कंसेंट पॉसिबल नहीं है. क्वेश्चन में क्या पूछा है? विदाउट द कंसेंट, राइट? सो यू शुड नॉट मिक्स द गुड्स विदाउट द कंसेंट ऑफ द बेलर.